All right, so looks like we're live. All the what's it? All of the advertising is out of the way, and that means I can actually go in and explain what's going on now. I am playing the tabletop tournament that Loremaster of Sotek is hosting, and I will be running this build today. The way it works is that each player has their own build that they bring, and it's just a best of one series till the end. I see already we got some people in chat. Nerobe the Clown, Enticity Unibomb. Oh, well, thank you very much, good sir. Well, yeah, here's the build. It's a pretty classic coast style. The only thing that's different from what I would usually do is I have a Necrofax instead of a third deck gunner. And maybe a few more zombies, but I think this is a pretty nice generalist build. You got Luther to kill off single entities. Vampire Caster, it's all good. Bib 16 Bear, hello. J Phoenix, how badly do you want to avoid dwarves? 100%. We definitely do not want to be facing them, as we will likely get completely run over. But they'll get run over by other factions, so that's not too much of a worry. Now, for anyone watching on the VOD, which is none of you guys right now, but for all you future people, I'll be putting timestamps in the video so that you don't have to wait so long before the games. So you can just skip ahead to the first timestamp and then we'll get underway. But for now, I'll just be hanging out with chat and just chilling. It's been a while since my last stream. Maybe like what like 1.5 weeks, something like that. It's been quite the amount of time for sure, but I'm happy to be back. Have I seen what Dactyr took? Well, we can actually browse the lists right now. So we got Void Lulls, Platypus, let's see, Mover, Lord Migsa, Lunacy, Human Boy, myself, Gobbo Slayer, Biblington. Is Dactyr even in this tournament? I'm not seeing his list. Maybe Sotek just hasn't posted it yet. He is indeed in the tournament. He might have been, oh, there we go. What is it? Oh, hey, it's classic greenskin build. All right. Going hard on that victory. Now, a lot of people will be trying to counter greenskins, I feel, just because people are gonna be expecting it. So it should be interesting. If they get taken out early, that would be a huge help for myself. But if I run into greenskins early, that would probably be bad. There's only one dwarf player from what you can see, but it's Gobbo Slayer, so it's a scary one. Indeed, I've practiced with him. He is pretty hard to beat as a Dowie. What does he have? 4 Iron Drake flamethrowers and a Slayer Rush build. So strangely enough, I think my build actually beats his. Just because I have Luther and he can't shoot up. So that should be nice. Hey, Con King, nice to see you on YouTube again. Yeah, I'm gonna be continuing to try it out, just consolidating my viewer base. And then hopefully my YouTube channel will grow. Esben asks, hey, and what does tabletop mean in this context? Oh, yes, I described it partially before. So the way the tournament works is that each player brings in their single army list and they play best of ones till the top. It's to mimic the how actual Warhammer tabletop was played or is played, where you just have the one army list and you have to count on that bringing you to victory. So yeah, fingers crossed everything goes well. I'm really wondering if people have brought hard counters to greenskins. I'm seeing a Yawning Firefly has a full air squad build. I'm sort of hoping for big monsters because obviously I have a ton of guns. So any army with a lot of monsters should have a hard time. Oh, is that haircut? Oh, well, thank you very much, BB. Yes, it is a haircut. It is homemade. Yeah, just a little bit of a trim, but oh man, my hair was getting super long. Like, it would go down to like here, and like the back of my head was getting to like mullet levels. It was intense, but I am free of that now. And yeah, it's different for sure, but it'll grow out before the lockdown ends over here. The old World 1, let's see here. Tabletop will ride again. Cool, so even more restricted than Legendary Lord, for instance. Yes. Yeah, it's sort of like the Legendary Lord tournament, but even tighter. Now, the tournament has begun, and it looks like we do have a match to start off with. It's going to be up against the Platypus. So I can just go ahead and set up a lobby and give him an invite. Let's see. There we go. And I'll load up the build and we can dive right on in. Oh, do I not have him on my friends list? How strange. I guess I'll just message him on the Discord then. There we go. Yeah, all right. So, nice. We have the Platypus in the lobby. Let's go ahead and add their name and not typo it this time around. And jump right on in. Load my build. Hey. And now we just have to check the map. Looks like we don't have maps just yet, so we'll have to wait a hot second. Yep, I'll have to figure that out. And in the meantime, we can do some fancy screen blocker stuff. So I'm going to bring up the Platypus's build. And of course, the usual thing that's really good about this tournament is that I don't have to hide my army behind a screen blocker. So if I could just replace that, then we'll be good to go. Aha! Boom. So this is the Platypus's build up against my Vampire Coast. It's going to be, by the looks of it, just a standard Empire build. You got a cannon, you got Franz, a bunch of knights, but not a lot of guns, which means that he's going to have to rely on his rush to try and defeat this army. And I think I have a pretty good chance of pulling it out here. So that should be nice. The map is Blood Pine Woods. There's a lot of forest here, so possible flanks are a possibility, but I don't think it's too worrisome here, as most of the terrain is flat. So once we reach round 3 or the quarterfinals, we're going to wait for Sotek to start casting the tournament. So he'll be casting the top 8 players. Fingers crossed we'll be able to get there. Let's see, you really like my style of overlay? Which overlay? Like this box over here that I'm in? I totally stole it from the Warhammer UI. But unless you mean like the screen blocker or something else. Or maybe the thing over there, which I made myself. With some GitHub, no, not GitHub, GIMP. Yes, just basically MS Paint, but better. Glenn saying, hello there, Ent. How is it going? It is going great. Yeah, been following through the job interview process. It's been quite the journey. And next week on Wednesday, I have 7 interviews back to back in one day. Can you imagine that? That's going to be pretty intense, I imagine. As It's going to be a lot of talking for about like 5 hours, but as a plus, I've sort of already been doing that for the past like 5 months or so. So I feel like my ability to do this interview is actually going to be pretty good. Now, enough about me. Let's go on to the actual game at hand here. We're up against this Empire build over here. It's going to be a lot of cavalry, a bit of an infantry rush, and Franz. So the goal is to make sure the infantry don't jump on my handguns. And same with the Empire Knights. The Necrofex, its singular job is to shoot at knights, nothing else. And my handguns are going to be trying to mow them down too. The deck gunners should be able to do that fairly well also. Just have to really make sure that that rush doesn't run me over. I'm going to try to distract a bit with my dogs. And if I can do that, then I think we have a decent chance here. Luther 2 in the air will be able to combat Franz as long as he has gunner support. Living in America. No, actually Canada. Yes, good old basically America, but less things to worry about. Although Canada isn't perfect by any means. It's insane. You remember me telling you on Discord a few days ago. Yeah, I'm sure I have a decent chance at the job. And worst case scenario, I get to stream more if I don't get the job. So I think it's a win-win either way. Now, guard mode. These guys need to be on guard mode. Same with the handguns. That's basically it. Now, usually, I would say this matchup is favored for Coast, especially with this build that I usually bring. But Empire does have a pretty scary rush if you're not too careful. The main benefit that I have is that there's no flagellants, so the infantry should rout pretty quickly. And then the biggest threat is going to be that mighty Empire cavalry. In fact, they're so scary that I'm going to put some zombies in the back, just so it takes them longer to flank. It'll let my Necrofex shoot at them for a little bit longer. You prefer Canada 100 times over America? Yeah, I think that's mostly just the news, though. With America, you know. I know a couple people in America, and it's not terrible. Yeah, more streams. Yeah, people just fingers crossed behind their backs, hoping that I don't get the job. Honestly, it'd be pretty fun. Now, here we go. The platypus is ready. He's deployed on the far side, and it looks like he's taking a defensive position. He wants to keep that cannon piece alive so that it can poke at my Necrofex, maybe shoot at some deck gunners, but honestly, it doesn't have too many good targets here. The best would be the Necrofex, and if I play this correctly, the platypus might leave a lot of cavalry in the back just to defend the cannon, and that will make my backline much harder to actually shut down. In fact, if I was the platypus, I would be abandoning the cannon essentially, just to get a bit of a stronger rush. But we'll have to see how it plays out. Now, one really annoying thing that can happen too is that he can shoot my caster, and if she starts taking too much damage, that's going to be really bad. I definitely don't want her to die, so special attention to keep her out of cannon range. As for the Necrofex, it'll shoot at Franz, but let's not waste too much ammunition on that. Franz is dodging. And more so, I want to be picking away at the cavalry, but as there is a forest over there, it's not going to be the easiest task actually hitting the cavalry with the Necrofex. Now, just a bit of repositioning. And you know what? The artillery is so far away right now, I'm actually going to move more towards the Empire flank. You know, I don't really want to be close to this forest, and I'm only being pressured by a single cannon. So I can pretty happily move into a better position for myself, and I think the patience is going to be paying off quite a bit. Especially because now I don't really have to worry about my right flank. That's going to be pretty huge as we continue going on. As for Luther, he can poke away at the Empire Knights, sort of just force them to advance, and the poking of the Necrofex should be pretty big too. Turn on fire at will just so that I don't have to worry about microing it later. And Luther, since I do know the build that is being taken by the platypus, I know that there's only one unit of ranged, there's only one ranged unit here. And that means that Luther has basically free reign. Now the cannon, it is hitting my deck gunners, so that's going to be a little bit annoying. But the deck gunners, they actually don't take that much damage from, they don't take that much damage from the thing, so that's completely fine. They don't take that much damage from cannons. Now Franz has dived in. He's going to be taking a lot of heat from my guns. That's an inefficient trade for sure. And now I'm going to shut down the cannon. I can also use my dogs to dive in onto the handguns just to stop them from shooting. And this should be pretty good. Now usually I'm not one to suicide my dogs away, because you really need them to chase down enemy range units. But in this case, it's a little bit of an exception, as instead they can just shut down the cannon and give my deck gunners free reign over the battlefield. I also have a unit of backup dogs to chase off units, so I think this is going to be more than worth it for sure. I just have to make sure that this cannon crew doesn't come back, so maybe we'll bring in Luther, but he's already doing a good job poking at the cavalry. So all in all, I would say things are going wonderfully for me right now. There's nothing really too much to worry about along the flanks. Luther will run out of ammunition soon though, as there was a nerf to his ammo a while back. So that's going to be a bit unfortunate. He won't be nearly as good at dueling Franz, but all in all should still be good. The Necrofex just constantly poking away too. It's going to be really great, and honestly killing off these knights is going to be so huge, as it will keep all of my guns alive. The bombers can move into position to shred all this Empire infantry. That should be a fairly easy task, and here we go. The knights are coming in. The infantry flank along the side is going to have to be warded off, and it's time to see if my army can stop the dive in from all these Empire troops. Now the name of the game is focus fire here, and that's because I just want these Empire Knights to be routing as quickly as possible so that they can get off of my guns, and then more of my guns will be free to do as they wish. As for Franz, he'll be dueling Luther. It's sort of just a distraction at the moment, as I think Luther might even have a bit of a hard time in that situation. I'll keep a close eye on it, but Luther does have healing, so I imagine if I disengage, that should work out pretty well. As for the frontline infantry, things are going okay. And Luther, given how much damage he's taken, I'm going to give him the disengage now, and instead he's just gonna fly away as best as he can. The backline is a little bit compromised here, but I do have many a gun summon working away on the knights. The Empire infantry isn't especially scary here. And yeah, I just have to make sure that all the cavalry is gone. Franz will be chasing Luther for a while though, and I have a goal to eventually loop him back into a safer position. As for the infantry, they'll be eating a lot of crossfire from all of these guns, so they should be routing soon enough. Of course, I have scurvy dogs too to chase them off, and as soon as Luther is in range of these handguns, he's gonna have the support to win the battle, I think. So Franz is getting near. I'll get him close. Scurvy dogs will chase off the infantry. Necrofex will rout off the knights again. They're just so battered that they can't really do too much to not get routed by the Necrofex. And now with a dive in from Luther, I think Franz should be going down. Although I'm actually gonna throw down a heal here. And then you know what? I'm not gonna use Luther to chase off Franz. That's actually a little bit too risky, as Franz is quite the beast. And instead, I'm going to finish off the rest of the cavalry. Silver bullets are shooting at Luther. Let's pull him back into a safer position, then move my zombies up to shut down those silver bullets. As for my dogs, they'll want to get healed up in just a second. And I need to get some zombies on top of the silver bullets probably, and get ready for another heal with Luther and the Necrofex. It seems like something's been poking at the Necrofex actually, and that's going to be this cannon artillery piece. That's a little bit annoying, but the Necrofex is fairly tanky, so that's actually not too much of a problem. And with the final heal, I should be okay. Especially since the Empire is starting to run low on infantry, and I do still have all of my handguns operational. Still though, it's been a surprisingly close game. There are some knights here, but I believe I'll be able to rout off these spearmen before the knights actually show up. So that's not too much of a problem. And now it's just the handguns. We'll be seeing if they can carry out the day, or if they're going to get overwhelmed. And their positioning actually isn't amazing here. They may actually run into a few issues. We'll have to see. Franz moving in on top of them. But given that I have routed off the knights on the flank, I think we'll be okay. Still though, a little bit scary. My casts are actually taking a lot of damage. It's not great, but Franz going for the caster, a little bit of a risky maneuver, might just end up getting gunned down by all of these handguns. We'll have to see. Instead, actually diving in towards the Necrofex. And a lot of friendly fire damage actually goes onto the Necrofex. That's a little bit worrisome. But still, I think I should be able to finish off Franz, especially now that Luther is healed up. And yeah, with these zombies on top of the silver bullets too, it should be okay. Although that definitely did get a bit dicey there. Let's turn these handguns. Use the Necrofex for its terror, just to rout off these guys. My caster is still alive. That's very good. But the cannon over here is also still functional, so I'll want to deal with that for sure. I'll have to figure out a way to do that though. And I'm actually gonna have to pull Luther away from Franz, since it's taking a little bit too long just to chase him down. This warrior priest, I'll need to deal with him also, as he is sniping out my Necrofex. The Necrofex isn't super important at this point, but I definitely don't want to be losing it. So let's bring in Luther, and the handgun should be able to clean that up. And honestly, I think the name of the game right now is just my handguns, who are all doing fairly well. The scurvy dogs too will be finishing off the rest of the infantry. So still, we will reaffirm that I think things are okay, although a lot closer than I would have expected. So here we go. Handguns are shooting at Franz. He can't really dive in. The warrior priest is dealt with. Necrofex is finishing off the last of the cavalry. Warrior priest is now gone. But the Empire Knights have landed a charge onto my handguns. We'll want to fix that with Luther. Scurvy dogs are on a mission now to deal with the remaining artillery piece. And now that the knights have routed off for their third and final time, handguns focusing on Franz. And that's gonna be it, I think. Unless there's a hidden Empire force in the forest that I'm unaware of. We should be in a good position now. Luther is doing very healthy. He can chase down Franz, although the silver bullets are going to be a bit annoying. I need to send in some zombies to deal with them. Scurvy dogs still diving in after that artillery piece that has been bugging me for the entire game. And the scurvy dogs, they should be able to survive this. I don't think Franz would even engage them, since it does mean a big charge from Luther. And the platypus definitely doesn't want that. Franzo with his buffs does put in a pretty nice beating on Luther. The silver bullets are getting in some damage too. But as long as Luther doesn't get two-shot here, we should be okay. He does take a hit, but the handguns are focusing Franz now. The silver bullets are shut down. And that should be game. Still though, Luther, he's taking a lot of heat. You know, maybe he'll go down, but Franz has taken a hail of bullets trying to shoot him down. And that's finally gonna be it. Oh my goodness. Now that took longer than expected. The map was pretty good for the platypus too. That artillery piece surviving was pretty brutal, as I did get to shoot my necrophex all game. And I think sacrificing my dogs was actually the wrong decision there. You can see that the one that actually survived killed 180 units. So having 2 of them definitely would have helped in the late game for sure. But otherwise everything went pretty well. Losing the deck gunners was rough, as there were so many Empire Knights and the map shielded them from the necrophex, but I think I was still in a pretty good lead for the majority of that battle. So sweet. It's game number 1 done, and we're now going to be moving on to face Ulrich Rahl. Oh boy. So let's see, it looks like I don't have them on my friends list either. Alright, well I'll just have to message them on Sotek's Discord. And he should be joining in just a second. Nice blob to shoot with the necrophex. Miscasts, yeah. That game was surprisingly close. A mix of the map and some hastiness from myself ended up punishing me quite a bit. What multiplayer tier do I think Vampire counts as right now? I think they're a decent counter pick. They're good enough where I think you can main them. So like what? Maybe like a B- tier. Where it's not really recommended that you main them, but it's possible. Of course, multiplayer tier lists can sometimes be really controversial, just because people don't the layout of how the tier works and how things are decided are not always laid out. Oh, you meant Vampire Coast. Ah, I see. Vampire Coast right now in the meta. Whew, if you guys have seen the charts, in the World Cup, Vampire Coast has a 25% win rate, but I think they're still pretty good. Versus many of the factions, they'll still be pretty advantaged. And they operate much like Tomb Kings, where they have a lot of counters, but there is a bit of a problem where a lot of people know how to play Vampire Coast, and they play differently than many other factions. So if you're just picking them up after learning, like, I don't know, let's say the Empire, it's gonna feel very different. Your just the play style in general, it's quite unique, but very fun indeed. And if I had to give it a letter score, I would give them like a B tier. That's why you ask, because the stats are against them. Yeah, but still, I think at the highest level of play, I'd put them at B tier. All right, so there we go. I am now inviting Ulrich Rahl. Let's go ahead and take a picture of his army list, and we'll see how afraid we should be. All right, it's gonna be a bit of a small image, guys. I apologize, but actually it's gonna be really small, but there we go. This is army list. It's really blurry, but it's like classic Bretonnian style. You got double paladin, Fey Enchantress, tons of archers. Honestly, a little bit scary. A lot of cavalry, but no front line. So I might just box it up, and I'll need to find a way to deal with the archers. Honestly, I'm a little bit worried about this. The map is Altdorf outskirts too, not amazing. It's gonna be all on the deck gunners, really, to focus down the heroes. Why do you think? Let's see. Why do you think your fork makes lightning when you put it in the microwave? Oh man, I feel like I should know this, but it's I don't know. Something microwaves electricity. I don't even know if it is lightning though, right? It's plasma? Or is that only with like grape skin? I don't know. All my random science video stuff is getting mixed up. But cool. Here we go. This is Ulrich Wall. Let's go ahead and change the name. Alright, and then jump into the game. Cool. Alright. The Bretonians. Oh man, this is gonna be rough. This is gonna be really rough. Because usually as Coast, you want a more focused build against Bretonia. Up against 5 archers, they're gonna be a little bit hard to deal with. Of course, Luther will have free reign, so that's gonna be really good. And I think he's gonna be on Fey Enchantress duty. I'm just gonna fly him up at the very beginning of the game and just try to focus her down. Of course, Ulrich might try to progress through the forest, but I can deploy further away from it to keep myself safe. So, should be good. Oh man, I've been missing chat so much. My bad, guys. Vampirate's win rate in the World Championship is pretty horrible indeed. That's why you ask the stats are against them. Vampire Coast seems like one of those factions. We have to put a decent amount of practice before they get good. I think so. They are really good at killing newer players though. As, you know, you can just run a defensive artillery build, and most new players don't know how to rush effectively. So you can actually have a pretty good run if you do that. Now, how do I want to position? I could do something like this. This feels okay, but a little bit worried. I think it's very sad to see the Greenskins as a faction that gets overshadowed by Stone Trolls, Spider Archers, and Grom. They have so much variety to draw. Honestly, I think people do run a lot of the Greenskin variety, don't they? We've seen Goblins, we've seen Orc Boys, even like Boar Cavalry, although they're a bit less meta, so that is true. But yeah, Greenskins, you do see a lot of their roster get used, honestly. I don't think they're completely overshadowed by those units, at least the way I sort of see it. Yes, this is a best of 1. You only have 1 build, so if we lose this, the Ulrich Wall's super blurry build that I had on screen, yeah, that would be bad. So fingers crossed that it's not a super short tournament stream today, but honestly, I'm not sure if I can kill him unless Luther really kills the Fey Enchantress super quickly. Yeah. Really fingers crossed for that, jeez. Now, I need to... yeah. Let's put the Necrofex on 6. And give him the good luck, have fun. Let's see his build one more time. Yeah, his only anti-air are the archers. So Luther should have free reign over the hero squad. So that'll be helping me out a lot. Then the question is, can I stop the knights from actually getting into my backline? It's Ulrich Wall, his rush is going to be pretty scary. I can take a more defensive formation for sure. But the Fey Enchantress, she's really slippery. I feel like she might just move in through the forest. That's going to block a lot of shots too. On the plus side though, there is only... no, there's a lot of cavalry. There's 6 cavalry. So honestly, I don't know if even if he sends 2 of them to chase down my dogs, there's still going to be a lot of cavalry coming down onto my army. At least I have a Necrofex though. So that'll be good. Late stream today, indeed. The tournament just started. It's more of a an American time zone tournament. Now, cool. Ulrich Wall is ready. We're seeing immediately. Oh, the paladins are flying. Well, that's not good. In fact, I would go as far as to say that is absolutely terrible. Well, Fey Enchantress is definitely over here right now. Let's go ahead and start poking away with Luther. It's gonna be, yeah, just trying to avoid combat with the Paladins. I don't really want to be in a prolonged fight against them. Necrofex is shooting at peasants, so no need to advance on my end. And yeah, we're just gonna be trying to harass with the scurvy dogs, really. Paladins are charging in on Luther. A little bit of a delayed disengage from me. Gets 2 shots. 2 hits on Luther. That's actually pretty bad. And he's gonna have to run away from these Paladins. I'm also gonna have to move in some handguns to support him, seems. So honestly, that's a pretty bad initial trade coming in on my end for sure. However, Luther has done a bit of damage back to the Paladins. They'll get healed up. Luther will regenerate. It'll more or less be pretty even. Now the infantry, they're not too worrying for the Bretonians. I got scurvy dogs, and they're all peasants, so the bombers will be able to annihilate them. That's honestly no issue at all. Fey Enchantress on the flank, gonna be pretty scary, and some of my handguns have moved out of line. Now that's gonna be really bad. Let's go ahead and move my zombies accordingly. Turn all of my guns, get the Necrofex on over there, and see if we can go and save these guys. Now the knights have come on in. The Fey Enchantress is taking a few shots to the face. That's definitely good. And I'm gonna chase her down with Luther. The knights on the flank should take a lot of damage from the Necrofex, and it looks like the scurvy dogs have actually successfully gone in to the backside, which looks like it's actually distracting the knights. That's absolutely huge for me. Fey Enchantress escaping Luther. My scurvy dogs are gonna have to run to a safer position. Now the deck gunners, they are gonna be absolute heroes here, trying to get in as much damage as they can. Luther just providing terror, and my scurvy dogs just running away, running distractions as best as they can. Let's go ahead and get my deck gunners over here too, as if I am able to kill off the Fey Enchantress, then that would be absolutely massive for me. But we're seeing now the backline is quite compromised. I might be able to rout off one of the questing knights. It's a little bit too risky though. And now we're running into the main issue where the archers are coming on in onto my forces. I don't have any scurvy dogs to really pressure them off, and they're going to be getting a lot of damage. Still, my lines are holding decently. And how's the Fey Enchantress doing? It looks like she's still at half HP, so definitely a pretty rough position to be in for sure. Necrofex fires off a shot, but is no longer able to hit up the cavalry. And at this point, I think this may be it, guys. This is probably gonna be it. A pretty rough matchup for sure. The classic Bretonian style. Really nice control from Ulrich Wall, and the double flying paladins. Really a nice touch here, especially as they were able to pressure Luther for the majority of the game. Now, I could still Hail Mary it. Let's go ahead and turn the guns onto the 2 paladins. Get Luther into the air. I'm gonna heal him up and just try to snipe them out. If I can kill them off here with my guns and Luther survives, that would be a possible win condition. But oh, there we go. Luther is down. Those guys get healed up. We no longer have a Necrofex, and that's gonna be it. GG to Ulrich Wall. Oof, rip. A nice Bretonian build, but that's gonna be it. Yeah, for sure looking grim. Essentially my build more focused to deal with like medium numbers of cavalry, but when it comes to 6 units of cavalry and 3 single entities, it's gonna be a rough time for sure. A pretty tough match, but that is how these tournaments go, as previously I had a pretty favored army list, but it looks like we'll have to change things up in the future for next time. But hey, at least I won one of the matches in this tournament. So fingers crossed we make it further next time. So that should be it. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Remember to sub. I'm trying to get to 1,000 so I can make so I can have ads on my videos, basically. But if you don't want to, of course, that's fine too. And that's basically it. So GG, guys, and see you next tournament, which who knows, it might be next weekend or what have you.